connected. They're still connecting, it looks like.
All right. Yours, you're in Spain. I can't hear you.
Oh, he's muted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At the moment, I live in Spain, but actually, at the moment, I'm in
Oh,
Slovenia,
whereabouts?
uh, in near Bled, the
Ah,
lake, a
wonderful.
small town, a little itty bitty town.
What
It was wonderful, absolutely
All right, let
wonderful.
me grab your
It's our first
name
time in
again.
Slovenia. We've never
do you
been,
need?
so
Let me see your badge.
Oh,
Just want to make sure. So it's Walker White.
Walker White.
Perfect. Just like it's spelled.
Uh-huh.
All right, Yoris, you ready?
sure, man. Welcome,
All
welcome.
right.
Hi.
Hey, here we are. We are live, and so we're starting things off. Is Walker looking a little blurry?
Walker looking a little bit blurry, but the actual recorder is higher quality. They assure me
I
all the
actually,
time.
I think I
But
look
he's looking
glorious.
blurry compared to you, even though you're next to each other. That is a bit weird. Maybe he's
So
moving really fast.
I'm just wondering.
If it's an autofocus thing?
No, so I'm just wondering here if I go things, Wi-Fi. Ah, that's the problem.
Uh,
We'll see if we can hop on here.
it's you. Hotspot.
Yeah, the internet. There we go. Let's see if that pulls you over. Ah,
Is
look at
that better?
that. Yeah.
Crystal clear?
Now you're blurry. Okay, this is great.
Now I'm blurry.
No, no, you're better now. You're better. You're better.
Okay. All right. Well, so Yoris, welcome in. It's been a pretty crazy,
Okay.
busy time.
Yeah.
We've got a pretty cool booth. I don't know if you saw the pictures of it. We got a
Mm-hmm.
printer printing some fun O&P
Gotcha.
podcast.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
and we got some cool. The adjustable sockets are really cool as well. And so anyway,
And
let's
you're all spiffy in a suit. I mean, you got a little suit
man,
going
you
on.
know, it got we got a little
Is
bit
it working for
serious.
you? Is it like, do you feel better in a suit, or do you feel kind of awkward? Do
Uh,
you feel kind of what's the deal?
I sorry, our next um I like it. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. The pull I couldn't do like a full button down, so
No.
no, not yet. I'll get
Right.
there. I can't be like you yet.
No, I do this 5 days a year, right? So I have to shoot 5 days a year.
I don't even wear a
Uh,
suit 5 days a year anymore. I
yeah,
can't even. I'm not sure I got one.
yeah. I have one
So
for like stuff.
yep. So 115. Yep.
It's hectic in
Um,
showbiz. Uh, so
so
who's with us? Oh, well, first of all,
yep.
Iopa, how is it? Is it busy?
Yeah,
Is it
so
empty?
it's
Is it
super busy. That this is they said they're back to pre-COVID levels as far as
Ah,
nice?
the amount of people that are visiting right now.
Yeah.
And so they said today, as of this morning, it was 2,005 people registered for the event,
wow.
which is
Okay.
good for our small little kind of niche group.
Hmm.
It's amazing.
And a
Um,
lot of new exhibitors, right?
yeah,
I don't
so
know if
it's
you saw
over
any of the ones we
30
talked
30
about.
exhibitors, yeah, and then
Yeah,
we've got one of them here too.
that's right.
Okay, good. So who's here? Who's
So
here?
yeah, so we've got Walker White. He's from Limber Prosthetics, and you may have remembered Josh on the
Yeah.
podcast. He was talking about the prosthesis. It's all printed together.
Hmm.
And so an interesting story on that is, we had him on, and you asked me what do I think of it, and I was like, actually, I believe the guys. Like I think they're doing good stuff. And so it kind of, I don't know if conversion is the right word, but it definitely showed that hey, they're doing the right thing engineering wise. and clinical wise, and the right thing by the patient, material wise as well. And they're using these FDM printers. They have a proprietary filament, and so I thought it would be awesome to have Walker on and just share a little bit about
Right.
more
Right.
about it.
Cool.
Sure.
Cool.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate Joris and Brent. Glad to be here. Limber Prosthetics, again, as I said, it makes a fully 3D printed baloney transtibial prosthesis. Patients just love it because it's really lightweight. Typically 40, anywhere from, if you're 6'8" and you weigh 280 pounds, it's going to be 25 to 30% lighter. If you're 5'2" female, 75 years old, it's going to be 60% lighter than what you're wearing. Full K3 functionality, ISO tested, as you said, and appreciate those comments. We did a lot of engineering to do this, but so the patients love it because it's lightweight, it's very naturally balanced. We have a lot of them say, like, it feels like I regrew my leg because we've moved the center of gravity of the leg up, like right underneath the knee, away from the the big pendulum weight at the foot. So fit very well. But really, what the patients love about it is it gives them peace of mind. It's like you can get this thing wet, sandy, muddy, dirty, and you put it in a dishwasher, hit it with a hose, like it's pretty unbelievable. So clinics really like
Are
it.
people
It's
using it? Are
oh
people
yeah,
using it more as like a sporty leg or as a swim leg or
yeah.
everything? What is it replacing? What is it
Right. Well,
used for?
it's interesting. It can replace something, but it's a very interesting kind of go-to-market issue, Joris, that we ran into, which is that when we showed up at the market, look, we're like, hey, we've got a functionally equivalent K3 prosthesis. It's lighter, it's faster, it's it's like built for speed, whatever other stuff. And the clinics were like, I don't know, right? And so we took a step back and we're like, well, how do we position this in the market? We know what it's capable of doing, but like this is a long ways to go. So we said, like, look, there's a water leg problem out here, right? People want a inexpensive, affordable device. It's got to be comfortable and reliable. And yet the clinicians were like, hey, people don't make that. And if I do make it for you, it's going to cost me a lot of money to make a socket. And so, hey, I'll tell you what, it's too expensive for patients and it's not profitable for the clinics, right? And so that's the breach that we stepped into to just say, hey, let's do this. So that's been great. And I would say that 60% of our legs get ordered for that purpose, right? But what happens is they buy it for that and then they never take it off. So we have patients who, we'll put it on for a water leg and literally been wearing the same leg for a year. There's a woman here at the booth who just got fit at the end of May. She got it for just to play sand volleyball and hasn't taken it off. And so that is what we're really kind of what's been just great about it, right? We knew functionally what it could do. So to your answer question, was it replacing? Well, it could be used as a primary, but I think really the 60% of what we're selling right now is like an affordable additional prosthesis, right? Some people are getting it reimbursed if you're got so everybody can move state. Some people are paying it for cash. It's just up there. So it's been a really real treat for us.
And what kind of like this kind of sports leg? Because the water leg sports leg kind of category, I think is really interesting, especially with people having like more expectations of being more active throughout life generally.
That's right.
I know lots of people that are boxing, that are hiking into maybe advanced age. Nobody's kind of like doing that. Like, I'm 67. I'm going to take it easy. People are like, I'm going to run marathons or whatever. So what kind of sports are you seeing this being used for? And is it everything, or are you?
Yeah. Right across the board. So when we design a unileg, we're coming off of either a dynamically fit, thing that they're getting ready to manufacture, or we're going to clone an existing well-fitting prosthesis. It runs the gamut of, we've got Jonah, who's 12 years old and won the Challenge Athlete Foundation Surfing Foundation 3 years in a row with the unileg. But the wheelhouse of customers is like one of our patients, Heather Williams. She's in her early 60s. She's been an amputee for about 15 years. All she wants to do is be able to walk on the beach comfortably. She's a good K3, high-end K3, even low-end K4 ambulator, and the unileg can fit that. We have people that have run 5Ks in it. It's not a K4 device. I mean, I'm perfectly clear, but you can run on it, right? It can do that. It can do that work. So, but I think the thing that's been interesting for me from a go-to-market perspective has been what Brent said earlier about being converted and being a believer, which is that I think when we got into this, even just, I would say, I don't know, Brent, maybe 18 months ago, is that we were really, for 3D printing, I kind of feel like we were kind of in the trough of disillusionment, right? Like it had been sold as like it's going to solve world hunger and sliced bread and so on. And we show up with this leg, and there were just a lot of people that just don't believe that it can do what we say it does. And I think, Brett, you might not have pulled yourself entirely in that position, but you had to be convinced. You had to see the testing data and so on and so forth. So it's just been over a year that we've been out there, and it's it's been great. It's been really pleased about it. So.
And talk to us a little bit about. I think okay, from a design thing, it's really interesting because the the foot portion looks like a foot, kind of like old school prosthesis foot.
Yep.
And above that, it's all like Geiger, FEA,
Yep.
cool looking. Was that on purpose, or did it just end up like that, or is that functionally better? Because you could have made them, more lifelike, the whole thing
Sure.
more lifelike, or the whole thing more bionic, if you will.
Right. Exactly. It's a great question, yours. So the the answer is that what we needed to build was a very lightweight and very strong prosthesis. And so, fortunately, nature, has all the answers if you know the pattern to look for. And the pattern that we looked for and the pattern that we found was a cholla cactus, which grows in the southwest of the United States. It is a very, very lightweight lattice structure that the cactus grows in very, very, difficult environments. Very, very strong, very, very lightweight. And so this is that design of the what is the pylon is biomimicry, and it's mimicking the cholla cactus. And the material that we use is that one's a trade secret of ours. The filament is a trade secret of ours. But again, it's a typical prosthesis anywhere from 25 to 40% lighter. But the design of that was just to make it. How do I make it lightweight and strong, right? But what's been interesting about it, and this is hilarious, is that one of our patients start wearing it. When you're wearing the Unileg, you're not fooling anybody, right? And so people really embrace it. And what's funny is, a lot of our patients who wear it in barefoot applications now, they get a regular foot shell on it and they're walking on the foot shell, and they've come to us and said, look, I love this leg. It's awesome. People ask me about it all the time, but I think it looks ridiculous with this rubber foot shell on the bottom of it. You're like ruining the aesthetic of the leg by trying to make it look like a foot. So like, we want you, Limber, to go build us a foot shell that looks like the Unileg. And so we're actually doing that right now. And it's been a fascinating thing. I think we benefit many times from many of us are not from the O&P industry, because we start designing this foot gel and talking to clinicians. They're, well, you got to be able to take it off because you got to be able to clean it. You got to be able to do this, got to do that. And we got thinking like, well, wait, I don't take off my foot at the end of the day. I'm just able to wash it, right? So why don't we just make it permanent that you can walk on it with bare feet and put it in a shoe? So you could just transition between these two things all the time. And if it gets dirty, you can just hose it off, right? Like, that's the way we think about it. It's almost as an engineering problem. And then we have obviously CPOs that check us and be like, you guys are idiots. Like, you can't do that. No one's going to use that. But we do find these things that like people are really embracing the kind of look of it. And we offer it in 16 different colors, and a lot of people order it in habanero red. I mean, you're not going to fool anyone if you got a red leg that looks like a DNA strand. So it's a lot of fun.
And how about okay, so the material, so you really focus on that material part, and you're compounding that. That's all like secret. Was there a need to do that? Why was it important for you to do a material? Because we see, a lot of people with 3D printing, like pick your battles, and usually people have a lot of them, right? So it's like,
That's right.
Which one? Why material, and why do you think you can win on material?
Right. So there are a couple things that we were undertaking with that. Number one is we built our own printers initially. We're OEMing them now, but we built our first printers because we needed large print volumes. We needed very specific, engineering requirements. But the material itself, the challenge here is that it's a material science challenge, right? Which is that things that are dynamic, like carbon fiber, are not durable. Things that are durable, like steel, are not dynamic. And so we had to find the Goldilocks material, right? The thing that is right at the balance of what is dynamic and what is durable, because we need to make it strong, we need to make it light, but it's got to give energy return, and it's got to give kick. So that's why we designed it. We went through a lot of different materials on our way to finding our current material, which we call M+, and we're actually designing a material right now called M3. M3 is is going to be about 20% lighter even than our current material, and it's going to have about, I think, about 50. We think about 15 to 20% more ability to give kick, right? So right now we can do kind of equivalent feel of a mid-level carbon fiber foot, and we're going to be able to ratchet that up a little bit in that single material print. Pretty excited about that.
And how
So,
I'm interested in
hey,
the sprinter.
yours. I know you just want to keep on going on and on and on. We're going to the next one. I'm sorry.
What?
Time's up, Yoris.
That's right.
I know we're gonna have to get Walker back on. That's the beauty of this.
I'm right down the street. I'm right down the
Hey.
street. Come find me anytime. Happy to come back.
Well, and we could do
nice
a
talking
you know
to
full live deal there too.
Right, absolutely. Happy to do it. Yeah, I think
All
the go-to-market piece of it has really been a very, very interesting, and I'm sure
I'm
you've struggled with it a lot, and
yeah.
I'd love to tell you more about it someday. So I'll take it away.
Right.
Brett,
Hey,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yoris, thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And if you're actually at the AOPA conference, come by 841. See Limber. All the best.
841.
841. Absolutely right.
Perfect.
We're right by the food. You can't miss us.
Okay.
Take care, all.
Perfect. Thanks. All right. So that was. Isn't that kind of crazy with the? I didn't realize the cactus design and all that stuff. Our next person's getting ready to come back on. But
I think it's cool. I think it's also a really cost advantageous model if you compound your own material, if you own that, if you maybe put your own fiber or whatever in there, and then you print as much of that thing in one go. It's not a lot of assembly, not a lot of different materials. It can be really cost effective for them and patients, I think.
Yeah. Well, Kate,
yeah.
we've had Katie on before, and she is a very good clinician, and wants to be just right. And she fit a lady with two of them yesterday, and she did great. And she couldn't believe it. It was a very complex patient.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Hey, Dave. All right. So this is you here.
All right.
So there's going to be a little bit of delay.
Little delay.
And this is your camera. We can look at each other, but that's yours over there. He's in Spain, or he's not in Spain right now. You're somewhere else.
I'm in Slovenia.
Slovenia.
Yes. Which is
Great
beautiful.
Place. Ljubljana.
It's a very, very beautiful place. No, the Bled, the lake Bled, like a really small town. Super beautiful place. Really nice. It's the first time we're here, and we love it.
Very
and
cool.
Like it's you can maybe see the mountains in the back. No, you can't really, but it's really nice.
I'm a little jealous. You see Orlando in the back, and the heat, and Mickey Mouse, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's interesting is this is the same hotel that AMEG was at in the COVID year, 2020.
Okay.
I didn't realize that until I rolled in. But anyway,
you walked in.
Yeah. So we've got Dave Johnson here from Icarus Medical, and we've actually had him on the show before, but I wanted to bring him back because I think we talked about it on the show. I had a patient that's a family friend that had a pretty terrible knee accident his senior year of high school, and it put him. He was going to be going to college, but he wasn't able to do that because he was injured. So he decided to take essentially a gap year where he would train and all that. But I saw his knee brace, and I was like, "Come on, man! I cannot believe you didn't call me for a knee brace." And so I texted. That was before I texted Dave, and I said, "Dave, I've got this guy that's super active. I mean, this is like high level baseball throwing. This is 90 plus miles an hour. You're talking about torque like crazy. This 180 some pound kid, 6'4". So it's not like your typical." But I knew that Dave was an athlete, and he actually wears it one for himself. And I was like, I'll give him a call. So Dave picked up, and he said, "Yeah, man, we'll give it a shot." And sure enough, I brought that brace in and put it on him, and he could not even believe that he was wearing a brace. So I know that Icarus has been doing a lot of growing lately. Not only are you adding volume, but you're also just getting better at what you do.
Thank
right?
you. Yeah. We are.
So I mean, and it's by the process, right? By the process. So welcome to the show. And
Okay.
yeah, so tell us kind of what's been going on in your world.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad that is it your cousin or
No, as a
your
family friend.
family
Yeah.
friend? Okay, I'm
Yep.
glad that worked out for him. I mean, as soon as you described the situation, and I was like, he's the candidate. This is gonna be great for him. It's actually a little off brand, but I know it would be very stabilizing and a little multi-compartment unloading with a swing assist was gonna help. And then you wanted patellar control, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's another add-on that you can add to the race. So. What's funny about that was I told my team, guys, Brent Wright, Brent Wright needs a favor. Let's show him what we can do. Turn it around, get the brace designed, show him we can send it off in 24 hours. And we had everything right, but I think one person didn't get the memo because anytime I put in an order, I do it with phone or a text or something. And we're actually at the size right now that does not fly anymore. You got to
Yeah.
put it in order, or we got to track it. We have a digital traveler that has to go all the way through the process. So we were going to impress you with something in 2 days turnaround, and said it was like a week or something like I don't know what it was, but
It
anyway,
was fine. It was fine. It was good. It was
glad
good.
it worked out. But
Yeah.
yeah, things are going really well. Our space is devices that change force across the joint in an adjustable way, and they're conforming to the patient, and they're as light as they can be, as minimal as they can be, and so it's there's we can apply that recipe to pretty much every joint and have a superior device. And so we're in a space where the ideas are, we really have to stay focused and keep our priorities. Um, and yeah, it's just growing. It's growing really well. The design automation is something that we've really mastered. And all of our engineers are programmers as well as mechanical biomedical engineers. So um, they can get the design time down, and actually we just had our first major win last week where we can scan a patient with our scanner. It automatically takes that scan, processes it, orients it, designs the device, and then puts it in the file to go to print.
There you go.
So now we're waiting on printing to step up their game and give us continuous 3D printing. Semi-continuous. What do you think, Brent? Is
Continuous
it
3D
coming?
printing is anyone even interested in that? I don't even know anybody that really cares.
I can
But
I
and so
can tell
yeah.
people how I think they should do it if they want.
Okay, no, no, no. I
Side
would love to know.
conversation.
No, no, seriously, I would love to know your way of doing it because the what would you want then, or what would you think that people should do?
Well, you have a bed. Um,
Hmm.
almost every system is it's layer by layer, and you need a certain amount of residence time for a cooling period. So some, if you could imagine a slug of printed materials moving through, there's no reason why you couldn't be in a four-story building with the printing on the top floor moving gradually down like it does in the standard build unit. And you have like the equivalent of like a 10 foot tall build unit, and then the bottom is cooled and ready by time, right? So it just keeps running.
Yeah, people have done that actually. They're
I have
literally
it.
that for buildings and they've made it's actually really funny. They put a bunch of one of the ways of doing it is just putting regular printer on a set of rails, right? So they make the whole thing print continuously like that. And they did it for buildings. We got a Dutch guy called Roy Joris who did this way back when as well. And a bunch of people have tried. It's a little bit more difficult than it would seem, but it does work. I think
It,
it
it does
depends
work, you
on
said.
yeah, it does work. It does
Okay.
work. You can make really large objects with it. And it's advantageous if you would like to make something continuously very large, like 100 meters or something. It could be very interesting. But for smaller objects, there's other ways of doing it as well. It depends really on, you could just, yeah, there's a ton of different ways. Most people are now looking at conveyor belt type of things as
Okay.
well, or a conveyor belt with gantries on top, right? And then multiple gantries on multiple conveyor belts, of course. My way of doing it would be that. to have multiple, like a conveyor belt, and then multiple gantries printing multiple layers at the same time.
Okay.
And then you can just like if the sim drops off the conveyor belt, you feed it back in with a different material around a different conveyor belt. So you have multiple conveyor belts with multiple gantries. And that's how I would do it.
Okay.
And that would, then you could do different materials very quickly as well. But that could be very interesting. Okay, and
Yeah.
how about the 3D printing stuff? Is that something where you guys are, um, feeling the pain? Is that something that's slowing you down? Is it something you want to develop faster, or is it, are other things really more difficult for you guys at the moment?
I mean, 3D printing is magical, and it's the key and everything. But it's at this point, we've been running it for 5 years now, and it's like really well dialed in, and we're always looking for ways to reduce cost. Um, so, we're we're still scaling, and just always looking at uh, what's the next what's the next thing here, and there isn't too much really, aside from like new materials on the horizon. I'm really excited about the potential for higher strength materials. um, is anybody ever using polyimide instead of polyamide? You guys know about that?
Yeah. So polyimide is very, very high strength material. There's other materials commercially available that mimic that or come very close. There's Crater and Crater type materials from Tectonic
Okay.
that come quite close with polyimide. The problem with polyimide is that it's really expensive. That's the big problem.
Oh,
So we're talking like higher than peak and a filament
okay.
cost.
It's also much higher
And
temperature.
also, yeah, and also you're limited with using a high temperature system. It's one of the highest temperature material polymers that you can conventionally use,
Mhm.
and it's one of the highest performance generally. I mean, I think for this application, um, it's very interesting. But I'd look at materials like Tullamer, for example, or the Crater material. I said that's less expensive, and it has a lot of the tensile and a lot of the other properties that you want, Young's modulus properties that you want.
Mhm.
The other thing of the polyimide stuff is it becomes really exciting if you have continuous service temperature kind of issues as well,
Mhm.
and if you really want to use it. And then like the stuff that uh, Brent uses on powder bed fusion, the PK 5000 is kind of like a much cheaper version of that, which will give you most of the way there with like, I don't know, like a tenth of the part cost or something. It's insanely expensive. I made parts in it, but usually it's kind of like this magical wish fulfillment stuff, like money only no object stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, so polyimide imide type materials PI is very, very interesting. But it's also quite difficult to work with day to day and make really large parts out of like really well. Similar to like Peak is kind of Peak is annoying to work with as well. And
Yeah.
I think if you're working with the extrusion, I would recommend like PK. Well, if you're powder bed fusion or sintering, go check out what Brent is doing with the PK 5000 because that'll give you really high strength material at a relatively low part cost. Um, Now, if you're looking at extrusion, there's
You
some
use
PEC.
PK?
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
that's PA. The next one is PK. The the
no,
the difficulty with
gotcha.
Just
PK
PK.
for yeah is that it's got a lower modulus than the polyamides, and so um, but it's nothing that can't be worked out via engineering. But you just have to know that. The beauty of the PK 5000 is that you get the impact resistance where you're not going to have a failure. And like the polyamides, the the PK on PK is definitely more self-lubricating, more similar to like an acetyl or something like that. So it's an interesting thing. Knowing what I know about your brace, we'd have to take a look at a couple little pieces, but I think that there's definitely some interesting, um, you know, potential there. And the cool thing is that it you have options as far as build volumes, speeds, and for your stuff, do you actually um, don't pack a lot of stuff in, so you have a not a massive build density. So your
Okay.
scan speeds, which is when you go to SLS, matters layer to layer. So you're talking about very fast scan speeds because you're not a very dense thing. So there might be some interesting things. And I mean, there's a company, and not that I would suggest it, but Farsoon makes a 1,000, so it's a meter by meter by meter build volume. Now you pay for it, but like even if you were to run short builds that were the height of your printer or whatever, can you imagine how many you could get on a 1 meter by 1 meter, and you do short and you're there? It's a 4 laser set. Like it's interesting.
I wouldn't do it. I would
That's very
sooner,
interesting.
I would sooner,
You what?
I would still sooner get multiple HPs or even multiple smaller AO systems than get a much bigger system.
Yeah.
It gives you lots more flexibility. Like you're gonna have to like the thing is if you're in a smaller shop, then having the four systems with the one guy that has to be there anyway, and then having him with maybe some dimension or other equipment for surfacing, some shot blasting, shot peening stuff. He's probably going to be able to do that batch by batch, and you're not going to really save that much on the employee. Otherwise, you're just going to wait 12 hours, and the dude's going to be working for hours trying to like get everything ready for you, coloring it, all the other stuff. So, and also there's also a risk then that something will go wrong in the build. I mean, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting, but I really would typically still say to people like, if you really, really need that part size, let's talk about it. But I'd prefer to always go with a smaller, more standard machine for something that where you could put multiples. I think the economics could work as well, just an MGF, regular MGF system. Even if you played full price for it, that would still work out, I think.
So I mean,
Yeah.
he's running the polyamides now. It's just you can't run the
Yeah,
PK on the multi-jet fusion stuff. They
yeah, I know,
they
I know.
they they didn't have the or
Is there a
it's not that
technical
they
reason that
yeah
couldn't
temp
happen?
nitrogen. So yeah, it has to be inert.
Okay,
Yeah.
but could you not have a nitrogen room and
You could so it's actually not a terrible idea. The problem is that agents, those agents, detailing agents, which are essentially water, do have to evaporate,
hmm
and you've got to get that evaporation out, which means that you would pull nitrogen out.
hmm
So what I would love, if we were talking about what I would love,
Uh,
is you can, I believe, just from what I know of the SLS process, I believe that you can flow enough nitrogen in a multi-jet fusion machine, even while pulling out the evaporation, that they could run the material. I do believe that.
hmm.
Um,
I think it's worth trying. I think it'd be really interesting. I think it
yeah.
may work. And try and get something that you voided the warranty on already.
Yeah,
We
right.
might, we might,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Well, and I think that's where
but it should be,
the
yeah,
580s are really interesting in that sense too, because they're all
yeah.
self-contained and is a little
But
bit smaller build volume to run. I think it would be a very interesting thing. But everything's locked down, so you can't do anything, and then it's like
So
yeah.
it's a difficult thing. But
you
um,
could so is anybody ever talk about using argon?
yes, argon
It's easy for
yeah,
the
so
metal stuff.
argon is pretty great. It's more expensive than nitrogen, and it
Mhm.
is more dangerous. So
Yeah.
you have to really watch that for.
But if you could gradually, instead of worrying about like the, because all you need is it's the just the part that's actually melting, right? I mean, it's right at the
So
surface. You
you
don't
want
need
it
it.
at the surface, and you do want it within the cake as it's cooling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But argon is a heavy
And
gas, I
that's
believe. So it would
yeah.
it would.
Yeah, so
So
I
it's
was thinking
interesting.
you could drop it. You could just kind of be feeding it in, and of course there'd be a little bit of excess, but it would just be, pushing out
Yeah. I
others.
mean,
Anyway,
hopefully they're watching.
yeah, come on, guys.
Come on, guys, do it
I've
already.
been trying to do that for a couple years now, uh, and
Very exciting.
Well,
yeah.
how extensive are you using PK? I mean, is this and is there something
For
I'd heard that it was more more durable, but also higher tensile strength.
yeah, so
Is that
your elongation at break is way like, and the failure mode is not brittle failure.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
think
that's
that is
that's
so
that's the
important, and that is so important, and not a lot of people realize that. But also from liability, safety, it's a difference between calling and somebody getting annoyed at you, like, damn, I need another leg, and like, Mr. Johnson's in the hospital right now. And also
Yeah.
think about that as a, well, you know that better than us. Think about that as a patient perspective, as just like knowing that or experiencing that. It's like the creaking oops or the, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's one reason we had a really long conversation once with Brent about using SLA. And there's a lot of really interesting VAP polymerization materials around that can be used, but they all shatter, or almost all
Yeah.
shatter. And that's just like from a patient perspective, I just don't like it. I just don't like it as a from an empathy point of view, from a safety point of view, and just like I would rather have something fail gradually because you know what? We don't talk about that often, but then the guy will know beforehand. He'll sit down before like fall, and he won't just suddenly fall to the floor. I think that's a big difference. I think
Yeah.
that's all. And are you still having, 'cause, like, you're one of these patient-founded companies, right? Is
Yeah.
that still helping you day to day, or is that just like something in the beginning and now, or is it still like, are you still using that to make your decisions like day to
That
day?
that's a good question because it's still, my story. I tell it every day, and multiple times throughout the day. I've already said it like 5 times today. And I realize, like, and also my team tells my story. I always encourage them to find their own story. A lot of times, a lot of our teammates have a knee problem. That's what brought them to us, or an ankle problem. And but even if it's, what happened when your dad put this on? And one of our employees, she's like, hey, I don't really, I'm not like you. I don't have a direct story that I can tell, or I don't know how to talk about this. It's like, wait a second, you you found Icarus. You talked to your dad about Icarus. You brought him home braces. He put them on. He started crying because he had so much pain relief and he could play basketball again because he'd quit playing basketball. And then he asked if he could invest in the company and became one of our investors because the braces worked so well. And now you're like a tremendous part of the team. So that's a pretty compelling
Yeah,
personal
yeah,
story
totally.
to our mission and our
Hmm.
product. So you don't really have to look too far to figure out like why you're actually doing that and not something else. So, but yeah, no, it's useful to understand like who uses this, why would they use this, when did they use this, and having somebody who heard some things or surmises versus somebody who is telling you, who can show you the X-rays, who has one on their leg. Yeah, that helps, but that's hard to scale, right? So we're trying to get everybody comfortable with their own way of talking about the technology. And we have a lot of biomechanics that explain how this works. So we really rely on that. We finally are getting research done and research published that really show that this has so much, like our flagship product. This is the Ascender, and it's the only patellofemoral unloading brace, but it's also a multi-compartment unloader. Um, but the outcomes on this are so superior to anything close, and that's because um, it's subjecting the knee to less weight. There's less force on the joint, and when you actually reduce force, that's actual unloading, um, and you have a lot less pain, and then the patient can modulate it with a dial. So that's something that I ask docs sometimes as a trick question: is you know is weight loss joint unloading? Um, and they come around and say, yeah, basically, you're taking weight off the joint. So
Hmm.
yeah.
And and another question, like the military lately has been very interested in braces for recovery, also using 3D printing for them, using scanning and 3D printing to get individualized braces for recovery and stuff like that. Athletes have been looking at customized 3D printing devices for recovery and stuff like that. Have you guys thought about doing it for recovery for athletes, for example?
Yeah, we have a really really good recovery brace. We developed it with a doctor at Rush and Dr. Ad Yankee. His brother's here actually. His brother's in the field. Yankee Bionics out of Akron, Ohio. So um, this we do have a recovery brace called the Chronos, the God of Time. and it's basically like a heavy duty, longer ascender. And it's basically like adding quads on the outside of your leg, and and what that does is it unloads the surgical site, protects the surgical site. It allows you to engage your quads somewhat, because most of the time when you recover from the surgery, for example, you're not using the leg at all, and so that results in atrophy. So we think that with a lot of surgeries, we can actually show a faster recovery. We can show people weight bearing sooner, engaging their quads sooner, and certainly it's a much better experience. We have a study. We have an actual RCT going on right now, and studying the Chronos. And we had some pilot data, and patients would wear a post-op brace, switch over to the Chronos, and that was like a day of, I think of it as like the day you got your cast off or something like that. It's just such a liberating, you're getting this heavy clunky thing. I call them ankle braces because they just slide down your ankle. But yeah, so the other thing is, like, I think there's going to be an entire new protocol around using this brace to recover and to accelerate your return to sport, return to duty, return to play. One of the biggest issues with ACL recovery, for example, is the confidence of, like, putting your weight back on that leg, being agile with that, and it's just, your patients don't have it. But when you put them in a brace that's adding quads to your leg, they get it. They get it immediately. We see it with our arthritis patients, and so we haven't measured that effect. We're going to be measuring that effect very soon. We do know that this brace is actually ACL unloading. I would say that, and I don't know. I have not seen any data that's ever shown that there's an ACL unloader out there. We can show this ACL unloading. You can look at EMG data that shows, because the joint is loaded not by gravity as much. It's the muscles contracting and co-contracting around the joint that load the joint. So a far greater force is imparted by that. So when you can reduce the amount of muscle contraction around the joint, you're reducing force in intercompartment joint force, and also force in most of the ligaments. And so this is the best unknown ACL recovery brace, but we're determined to show the world that in the next year or so.
I
Cool.
think that could be
Cool.
really exciting. I think it'd be really amazing, and really, make that patient population group much, much larger, and also, like, spread that innovation out of many more, like hundreds of thousands of people. I think that could be really, really amazing for your device and your company as well.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Well, thanks
Cool.
for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Good to
man.
see you. Appreciate
Well,
the tips, guys. I'm gonna
yeah.
look
Well, it
into
might
that.
sounds like we might have a discussion in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
I think that's great for PK, dude. More so the in-mind stuff you don't want to do, and peak you don't want to do, and some of the PEC stuff maybe, but still, it's gonna be so expensive. I have a church really close by the way. Oh, and I heard when the mic was on, I heard like a whooshing sound. It sounded like an angle grinder or something
Mm.
on the background with the
Oh,
other mic, not right
not
now,
with.
not right now. I don't use it, but I don't hear it. But
Huh.
before I heard like it sounded like an angle grinder, like a kind
Let's
of.
see. Let's see if you hear it again. You hear it now? Okay. I'm wondering if it was just a bad connection with the deal. So that's muted right now. Let me. I gotta hop around the backside to grab the next person, and then you got to roll, right? You're muted. I can't hear you. You're
I can
muted.
have for 15 more minutes. No
Okay.
problem.
Yep. I'll be right back. So there's going to be a little bit of a delay between us. This is my co-host Joris. He's in Spain.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
There you go.
so we'll look at each other, but then we can, if you look at the screen there, then it's a kind of a straight on, and you can kind of see what people are seeing as well. We're
Absolutely.
live.
Hi.
Hey,
Uh,
we haven't officially met,
yes. But
right?
we've talked on Facebook. My name is Von
That's right.
DeBar.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um, I work for Martin Bonics, which is a prosthetics company that provides socketless socket, which is an open-end socket design that allows flexibility and comfort. I'm also an amputee. I started out as a below the knee, went above, then bilateral above. I'm also a paraplegic, and now I recently finished my OI process. So next week I'll be moving into MPK and feet. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, what a journey.
Yeah, it's a long road, 13 years. So
13 years.
it's exciting to be in the O&P world and to get to meet other professionals like yourself and really be able to see both sides of the coin from the patient perspective as well as the professional perspective, which I think is kind of important to be able to empathize, not just sympathize, but empathize with the patient and truly understand what they're going through and how you can get them over the hurdle to the next thing, whatever it is, whether it's getting their first prosthesis, going through PT, going through a revision or an additional amputation. So it's pretty cool. And this is a great platform you guys are providing. So people that aren't here can actually experience meeting people through this forum. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you.
Yeah.
So as a patient, like what kind of devices? Well, when people are trying to sell you devices, what are you looking for? Is it comfort? Is it performance? Is it
I
ease of
think
use in your life? What are the
I
things that
think
you care about?
I think it's a combination. So, as an amputee, when I was a below the knee through above the knee, it really is a question that should come back to the amputee is what are your goals and what are you looking to achieve with your prosthesis? And once they can tell you, like, for example, an amputee sees a bunch of marketing and they're like, oh, I'm going to get that socket that lady's running, I'm going to run. The question that I ask myself or any other amputee is, did you run before you became an amputee? Because you need to be realistic on your goals, because when you set goals too high to reach, you fail yourself. So it truly is, what do you or what do I want to achieve from my prosthetic, from my foot, from my knee, or whatever I'm getting? And is that going to service me with what I actually end up in? Because I can watch a commercial on Facebook, Marketplace, or any other, marketing done by a foot company, a knee company. I go to Coalition and see a lot of different vendors. But at the end of the day, I don't need to have an X3 knee because I am not a K4 activity. I look at that knee and think it's amazing. The only thing that would benefit me from that knee would be the waterproof part. That doesn't mean I need the knee because I'm not, climbing 1,000 stairs or walking 1,000,000 miles. So realistically, when you're shopping, you should shop for your need, not your want. And identifying that is very important, and having those hard truth conversations with an amputee when they are coming into the situation of what foot do I get, what knee do I get, what socket do I get. It's the question should come back to, what are you planning to do once you receive your prosthesis in whole or a part? And if it's, I've been sitting in my wheelchair for 14 months or 14 years, then it should be, what's going to work to get you to the next step? What's the best K2 foot? What's the best socket that's going to be comfortable for you and it's going to help you ambulate better? Because the worst thing that can happen is saying, oh, I think that socket's great. I've seen so many people with it. I want to get it. But it really doesn't work for them. And they sign delivery and now they have to wait up to 3 years to get another one, depending on their insurance. And then that happens. And I don't like to say this, but I like to remind people that those sockets become plant holders in your home, or they hang out in the closet. And it, unfortunately, that is a case that happens a lot because the conversation isn't happening on the front end. It's happening at delivery or after delivery. So I really feel like it would behoove us or benefit both sides of the community, whether you're the the manufacturer, the seller, the clinic, and the patient to have those hard questions at the beginning. So the end delivery is going to be smooth sailing and they don't get into a product and realize they hate it. But now they've already gotten past signing for it. And now they're kind of like, here you are. You got to make the best out of that product. And the second thing is a lot of patients aren't aware that they can trial a foot, they can trial a knee. So if they go through the trial process and they try 3 feet, they can really pick the one that made them most comfortable and that's going to be working for their style of activity. Because I tell all amputees when you're looking around and going, oh, that guy's doing this. Oh my God, I can't believe he's doing that. I want to do that. You can't measure someone else's journey with your own. You truly need to go on your own journey and look at other journeys and maybe say, I hope to be there, but not assuming the piece of equipment or the socket or, whichever component it is going to make me that guy because that's not the case. Even in real life, able bodied world, if I buy a pair of Nike sprinter shoes, isn't going to make me a sprinter. So I guess that's basically what it is it really needs to identify um, what your need and what reality is. And then, so short term goals is what are we getting today that's going to help you get to tomorrow. And then, if somebody wants the socket, let's socket, but they don't have enough volume control, we'll get you in a traditional and get your stump, atrophied to the point where you can then move into a socketless socket. And that's the same with getting a K2 knee, like the neuro is a good knee. And then as you become more active, then you can move into trying to get a K3, K4 scenario. So I think that's what is important is identifying the need versus the want.
Mhm. And then also, like, talk to us a little bit about what Martin Bionics does, and what the type of products are they make. 'Cause I have no idea. I know nothing about
Okay.
it. This is the whole
Oh, it's
simple
okay.
idea of this show is that I'm like, I'm the
So Martin Bonics is a socket company that provides an open-ended socket design with a ratchet system for tightening and loosening. And it allows the patient to have the ability to gain or lose anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds without the need of socks or to get a new socket made because they can tighten their ratchet system down or loosen it based on their volume change throughout the day. So when I was wearing the socketless socket in the morning, my atrophy is strong, so my limb is very tiny. But as the day went through and I started walking a lot, firing my muscles and my hamstrings, my limbs swelled up. In a traditional socket system, I would have to take my leg off, add or take away socks, go in the bathroom. With the socketless socket, sitting here right now, if I was wearing them, I could put my hand in my pocket and loosen or tighten the ratchets based on my comfort level. So it's true adjustability, comfort, and conformity for an amputee that needs a lighter socket. The other thing is for the AK patients, when they sit down, they actually feel their thigh hit the seat. They're not sitting down into a bucket. For BK amputees, they have full range of motion, so they can literally squat and the back of their socket isn't digging into the back of their knee. So that's basically the socketless socket in a little nutshell. But that's what Martin Bonics provides. And
and
we offer our technology all around the world. We have 4 clinics, but we train clinicians around the world as well as give referrals to clinicians around the world for patients who cannot come to our local clinics. We still offer that availability for them to get a socketless socket through their practitioner. We offer free training, CEUs, and referrals as well.
so it seems like I think if I'm like an athlete or maybe a farmer type laborer type person, or if I'm like maybe living in Indonesia or something, that could be really interesting, right? This whole idea of not having this thing that's like that's a more open, more breathable kind of thing, right? Are
Yeah,
you noticing those
absolutely.
kind of areas
We
is more desired
we
or
we
appreciated?
We have patients that come from India, from Germany. We have patients coming from China and different countries, Costa Rica, that want a technology that will help them have the full quality of life that they deserve or they had before they became an amputee. And with this socket for a new amputee, it's really great because we all know new amputees. they they start shrinking in that first 3 to 6 months. So that the longevity of the socket is great because they can just keep tightening it as they develop their atrophy. And for athletes and farmers or and people that are very active, we reduce the amount of sweat they get in their liner because it's able to breathe. There's breathability. The open socket design also allows the patient to have less sweat and decrease need to take their socket and liner off to expel water. So if it's paired with a breathable liner, we've had amputees say it's a 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. knee or leg socket. So they'll put it on at 7 a.m. and not take it off till 11 p.m. because they're able to just adjust it on the fly on their body. So that reduces the need for socks or constant change out or release of fluids from your liner.
Yeah. And we talked about this before about this adjustment thing, because some people are doing this often, some people don't have it as much. There seems to be a lot of leeway here between people who are adjusting or wishing to adjust very often to others that don't really have that problem. And you guys must see a lot of the people that that really want to adjust these things a lot, right? Because you're seeing a lot of difference there.
Yeah. So I have some amputees that have no volume change. They're kind of like the same from the morning till night. And they just tighten it down, and that's it. One shot wondered for the day. And then, like, I have amputees that are very active, and their volume does change throughout the day, depending on the weather or the scenario of their limb. And that helps them on the fly click down or loosen and just keep moving without having the need to say, I got to step into the bathroom because I got to take my socket off, then my socks, then my liner, and then put it back, one sock back on versus three or whatever. So it really eliminates that time of change. It helps the patient just make the change on the fly and keep on going.
That sounds really cool. And do you notice that that weather changes thing? Is that really a big issue? That there's certain
Yes.
cities,
So
countries
with
where it's like fluctuating throughout the day?
yeah, so with amputees, if the it gets too hot or it gets too cold, if it gets really hot, you start sweating and your limb actually swells up. And so that would allow you to loosen it and open it and just tighten it back down. But when it's really cold, most of our limbs shrink or, tighten up because it's cold. And that ratchet system just allows you to tight, 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 and you're done. Whereas if you were having to have socks, you would have to take your entire prosthesis off, add socks, and then put your prosthesis back on. So whether it's weather change, indoor, outdoor change from air conditioning to outside heat, the adjustability allows the amputee to just keep on going throughout their day without have an interruption to fix it.
And also, as an amputee, have you throughout your whole period, like which is a really long time, have you had the same prosthetist, or did you shop around a lot?
Oh
What's
no,
that experience like?
I feel like I've had the same prosthesis. My first prosthetist I had for 2 years. The only reason I changed is because I moved. But I have had the same prosthetist now for 7 years, and she's in Oklahoma, and I'm willing to travel to them because to me, your prosthetist is your confidant. But once they know your body, they can identify any issues over the phone and FaceTime and help me fix it on the fly. So for me, I feel like you should have a relationship with your prosthetist, kind of like your best friend. You should be able to call them, text them, ask them for any kind of help as you experience it. And a lot of times, amputees they don't have a relationship with their prosthetist, but our limb is our mobility, and our prosthetist keeps our quote unquote car running. So if our car has any issues or it breaks, we go to a mechanic. A lot of people have the same mechanic because they know they can go to the guy, he's going to be honest with them, he's going to give them a fair deal, and they're going to drive away out of their car. It's the same with the prosthetist. Once you have a really good rapport with your prosthetist, your fittings get shorter because they know your limb, but secondly, you aren't afraid to ask or um, want something and be able to say, hey, I was at a conference, I saw this really cool thing. You have a relationship with your prosthetist, they're going to be honest and say, Vaughn, that is a cool thing, but I know you, it's not for you. And then that prevents the disappointment or expenditure that should not happen because I was never a candidate for that product.
And how would, if I don't have that that prosthetist of my dreams, if you will, like, how do I know? Is it a click? Is it just like, oh, we're into the same sports? What is that? I mean, how do you
I
know?
feel
Like,
I feel like it's that first consultation evaluation sets the stage for the future. If you're in the room with the guy, prosthetist, and you're talking to them and they don't make you feel comfortable, then you're not going to feel comfortable to tell them the truth of my socket's digging into my groin. I don't like the way this feels. And that's where the patient walks away accepting something that they don't really need to accept. I think if as an amputee, if I was in a clinic and started working with a prosthetist and I didn't feel like they were listening to me, I would vocalize first, I don't think you're hearing me. If at that point they don't take the time to get to know me or understand my need, most likely it would behoove me to find one that does. Because this relationship is going to be long standing and each side of it should be comfortable to talk to each other. Just like a woman going to a gynecologist. If you can't talk to this person that's going to be examining you, then how can you have a conversation with them about issues that might be very sensitive and that you might be embarrassed about, but you should be comfortable no matter what to tell your practitioner that scenario. So I highly recommend patients to do the interview process with their prosthetist and use that consultation evaluation to determine whether or not that prosthetist is for them.
uh, and is it like feeling respected and listened to? Is that like a key thing where you're like, ooh, 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 now I'm engaged. Now I'm like,
Yeah, I have a amputee friend that had a prosthetist that she couldn't talk to, and she would come to me and say, "Oh my God, I don't know what this. I don't want to say anything because I don't want him to be upset, or I don't want them to have to go out of their way to make it right." And my response is, "You're actually hurting yourself and them by not speaking the truth because they can't fix something that they don't know is broken." So that's why it's important because that stigma of is, well, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or I don't want to say anything because I don't want them to be upset with me. In the return of it, it's like a car. If you go to a car dealership and you buy a car and you're not happy with it, you're okay to tell the car dealership, hey, the sunroof doesn't work. But if you go home with a prosthetic and it hurts you and it's digging in your leg, you're afraid to tell somebody. This is your physical body. You should be able to ambulate whatever the situation is and express whatever the situation with your prosthetist, just like you should be able to say it to your spouse or your best friend. And that's why it's important to have a really good established rapport with your practitioner so that your journey, no matter how hard or easy it is not a struggle.
yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think generally being a very vocal patient is okay, but if you're not like that in life, if you're just kind of very meek or, you know, you just don't want to bother people, then I think, yeah, the journey is going to be much more uncomfortable
Yeah,
generally.
and for me, on the practitioner side, I think it's very important for practitioners to identify an outspoken person, somebody that is meek or quiet, and they have to actually learn to extract the correct information from their patient. Like they need to encourage their patient to feel free to express how they feel with whatever's going on. So an example is if I was a meek and quiet person and my socket hurt and I'm walking in the parallel bars, my facial expressions are always going to speak the truth. As a practitioner, I'm going to see she looks uncomfortable. I'm going to extract it from her. How does it feel? And if I say, I guess it's okay, as a practitioner, you should be saying, well, we don't want okay. We want great. So what are you feeling? How are you uncomfortable? Can you show me where it's discomfort? And then the practitioner is identifying that they have to pull it from the patient and it's okay. And then letting the patient know it's okay to express it. Hey, I want you to be 100% comfortable. Don't be embarrassed or don't be shy to tell me what's going on during the fitting. Because when you walk out of here, you shouldn't have any pain or you shouldn't have any discomfort in the socket. If you do have that, there is no, and I really hate this expression, you'll get used to it. There should not be that statement in the prosthetic world. There is no getting used to this. This is now my car or my mobility, whatever you want to call it. This is how I'm getting around. When I say this to practitioners all the time, when you buy shoes that don't fit, you take them back and get another pair. It's your responsibility as a practitioner to provide the best fitting shoe for your patient.
Yeah, that's a super good point. I think it's a super wonderful point. So thank you
So
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. I
Yeah.
really was glad I got to come
It
on.
was
And I
great. It
would
was great.
definitely love to do it again in the future and help in any way I can build your network because I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you. We like a
Cool.
Thank
You
you.
got it. You got it. Let
All
me get
right. Bye
those
bye,
headphones ready.
everybody. Yep.
From you. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Yeah. That was good. So cool deal. Well, that was.
that was cool.
Oh well, yeah. You know what's interesting about this, and I know you got to run yours
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
um, so you hear like being a prosthetist and orthotist, the clinician side. Not only are you making sockets, right, and
Hmm.
how to put stuff together, fixing things, using
Hmm.
your hands like a mechanic, but then you heard from her like definitely the psychology side of things. Are they an introvert, extrovert? Are they telling me the truth? Do I need to pull more things out of them?
Hmm.
It's a profession unlike anything else, really.
I
It
think
really
so.
is. So
It
it's
sounds really
wild.
exciting, actually. It sounds really exciting. All these elements you have to master. It's really, I think it sounds really difficult as well. But it sounds
Yeah,
really varied and really very, very fun and really rewarding, I think. But yeah, imagine you do everything else okay, but you didn't realize that some people are going to lie to you and some people get taught that they have to suck it up, you know, walk it
yeah.
off, take it on, go, you know.
That idea of yeah,
Uh,
well, you'll get used to it. That's just
it's a,
wild to
it's
me.
a, that's the enemy, dude. That is the enemy. And then somebody won't say it because they're not used to saying it hurts, you know, because they just can't do that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thanks so much for joining us
it was awesome, dude. Hey,
on that.
a technical thing. I show an uploading of 29%.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
So you
bad,
should be
good.
yeah, you should be able to hop off, I would think. But how about now you were saying that did that noise come back again?
It did. It did when she was in the second half of her conversation, only from her when she was talking, not with
Okay.
you. It was that, but only from her and not in the beginning as well. So it could also be me, right? I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
But
Okay.
and what do you want
Okay.
me to do? Do you want me to close
You
it?
don't have to
Cause
you don't have to stay on.
but I can leave.
Oh,
I could just leave.
hold on just a sec. That was crazy. Okay. Yeah, you can leave.
And I
And
should
then
press leave, the leave button as well. Yeah?
yeah, because it will upload and then I'll just grab whatever the audio that was there.